rocking and rolling. You guys ready? Thank you for all being here. I know people are loading up. We're really excited about what we're going to deliver tonight. I asked, actually, Chris offered, and I asked Dr. Chris to be with us on this because real main headline and topic was eliminating all objections before they happen. And, you know, you've been the king of this. You have your dinner talks and your doctor's report and all these things, and that's exactly what you do. You know, I'm just going to give you a couple accolades real quick. Not only you're a world-class leader, but you're a professionally trained communicator.
Right, that's two.
Not only that, you're good-looking and Italian. You get your name ends in a vowel.
More than that.
Do I keep going?
Well, yeah, a little bit more.
You got a great smile, great look in your eye, clean shaven, great build.
Yeah, okay. That's good. I'm filled.
Yeah, okay, good. So, yeah. But anyway, I mean, that's everything that you teach when you deliver your dinner talks is get into the mind of your audience and eliminate those objections before they even happen. That way, things will be smoother.
Well, I mean, this is something we talked about for years. It's like I want to get to the objection and before they do, because then in their mind, if I'm setting it up correctly and logically going over it, then it makes sense to them. So there's no reason for them to object. I covered it. Or I don't want that person sitting there when I'm trying to communicate truth to them and they're thinking for 5 minutes this objection and they're waiting to tell me. So when someone's waiting to tell you something, they're not even listening. So I realized, listen, when I used to get back in that room and show them the report of findings, I wanted it to be 0 questions. It was like you say, the least amount of variables possible. So I made sure through hundreds of talks, Dr. Fred, and through collecting the data of, well, what were the most common objections we always get? And if I saw we were always getting them, I'm like, wow, I need to address this before we get to that point. It changed everything. And you know what? It not only did it change anything, but at the end of the day, I felt okay about it. Because the worst thing to do is to hear objection and be like, I didn't cover that. And then you do this and stress your mind. But at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, listen, I said everything I had to say, you know, and I feel good about that. So it's a lot more than just getting the conversion, but it's also peace of mind for yourself.
Well, exactly. And today isn't going to be about handling objections at all. What it's going to be is about 5 steps that every patient must go through. Now we take these right from our boot camps. And when I look at the list of people that are attending, we have great guests, and there's also a bunch of people that have been to the boot camps. And, you know, just a quick history, you know, I remember the day when I said, you know what, I'm tired of convincing patients. I think patients should be coming to us, asking us to be a patient. And I said, how do we get that? And so I started studying human behavior about 20 years ago. I mean, I went through NLP and life coaching and, you know, research studies in Harvard and Stanford and all these things over almost 20 years, and came up with these 5 steps that really the major influence from this was from Tony Robbins' Mastering Influence, which is a phenomenal product, and Going to Business Mastery. So the 5 steps I'm going to give you is a combination of a great world-class leader, Mastering Influence, and Business Mastery. And so one thing that I'd like people to understand is there is a very specific, it is to a science, a step-by-step system that people process through when they make a life-changing decision. And it's these 5 steps. And there's a foundation of behavioral principles that people will go through on a subconscious level. So our subconscious mind runs 95 to 99% of our life. There's tons of research that shows that. And people are acting subconsciously while you're speaking to their conscious mind. And they process it in their conscious mind, but they have subconscious influence. So to be able to understand the succession of steps on a subconscious level while you're talking to their conscious mind moves them along into and through this emotional process, and at the end we justify with fact. And this is just the way it is. I mean, this is a science. And so these 5 steps I've taught for 8 years. And we did stats on the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, we've taught over 200 doctors. 91.8% of those doctors grew their practice from these tools and others we teach in the boot camp. From this tool, 91.8 to 30 to 50% in 90 days. In the last year, it was 93.6%, grew 30 to 50%. Now, some people may say, well, I don't want to grow 30 to 50%. Other people may say, you know, hey, I want to grow a lot more than that. But this is 90 days after going through this system. And this is a major tool of what we're going to go through. You went through some of the, certainly a bunch of the communication through the boot camps. You sent your doctors to them, and you use parts, certainly this and more, and stuff that you've created into your own hybrid.
Well, exactly. You know, it's even the things I was using, which you do really, what one of your superpowers are, is you're able to take something complex and make a system out of it. And that's what's extremely valuable, because if you could systematize it and make it teachable and learnable, then it could be applied, versus just being the superhero and no one knows how you do it. So that's what I definitely appreciate, that you could take all these subjects, you could marry a couple skills together and then make it presentable and teachable. So this is why it's tremendously effective. I mean, from an associate level to a top level world changer across the board. So thank you.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it. And, you know, we've taken people over the years, I mean, people that look very common in a sense, you know, people that they're not outgoing, they're not charismatic, they could blend into the wallpaper, and help these people have $1 million plus practice. I don't necessarily blend in the wallpaper because my mouth is too big and I would just end up saying something. But literally, you know, I mean that in a complimentary way, that this is not personality dependent. It's a science. And so what we want to go through together is these 5 steps tonight. And then I'm going to show you at the end how to master this so you can make a huge impact in your practice. And really the reason we're doing this, Dr. Chris, is we've really come together. We've worked together several times, but we want to make a huge impact, man. You know, I think we can actually hit the tipping point in our lifetime. And, you know, if we're here walking on the face of the earth as chiropractors, then the whole world needs to know about it. And I actually think we can see this happen in our lifetime. Maybe we're dumb enough to believe that, but I know you share the same purpose.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. As long as I'm breathing, you know, we're going to continue to grow and pursue and lead other people to do the same, or at least give themselves permission to do so. It really comes down to that. You know, before we go over the 5, these 5 pillars Dr. Fred's going to talk about, you know, you got to really understand and have a little bit of pride and ego that you're worthy of it, and that you are important. And that's why I love about the whole pride and ego of things, that it really is good when pride and ego is potential. That if you give it to a bad person, well, there's no bad. If you give it to a gambler or a drug addict or someone, you know, they're going to be more enhanced of it. But if you know you're worthy and you have pleasure and satisfaction of what you do, and you know your message is important, and you have the confidence and esteem to do so, and you find that pleasure in the unique gifts and talents you've been given and the tools you've been given to help people, then if I give that potential to you, have a heart to serve and help people, then you create a room full of heroes. So what we're talking about enhances your ability to do so, but at the same time, you have to actually believe the I am, that you are the one that'll be able to do that. This is not a Dr. Fred thing, a Dr. Chris thing. This is you. This is why Dr. Fred specifically said, this is a science. This is, you follow the formula. It's an equation. You do the equation, you get the result. And so I want you to understand that this is not just for some people, it's for all of you. But you got to have the confidence in yourself to believe in yourself enough to say, I'm going to do it and make an impact. Because, you know, what's the people ask, how do you stay motivated, Dr. Z? And I'm like, well, what the hell's the alternative? Like a shitty life? You know, like there is no alternative. Like it's just, so you got to have that mindset. But like, well, me not being my ultimate self, what's the alternative? You know, so there is no alternative. But I just want to empower you guys to know that this is for you. And I believe from this webinar right now, you'll start to see results tomorrow. But you don't have to be perfect. I want to set that up too. A lot of you guys are perfectionists. You want to have it perfect. You want to sound like Dr. Fred. But it's taking its time. But just do it. And as you do it, that's when you learn. You know, it's become a potentialist, doing the best you can with what you got in the moment you have it. But don't sharpen your tools getting ready for war. Sometimes you just got to go to war, utilize these principles, and that's how, in the fire, is when you're going to really, really become a master at it.
Well, exactly. And that's why I appreciate you being here. We always say it's mindset first and then systems. So thanks for giving us a foundation on the mindset. Now let's get into the systems. We're going to go through 5 steps. I'm going to introduce them right now. Then we're going to go through them individually. And I'll show you how to apply this in a day 1, day 2, and actually a day 3, and how people that have done this, we see a 70 to 84% commitment to full care. I mean, this isn't just people starting care. I mean, full spinal corrective care. Step 1, they have to say, I have a full spine problem. So let me introduce, this was a principle I learned from Roberto Monaco, which we've both been trained by. It's a principle of human behaviors called commitment and consistency. When people say something or they agree, especially when they verbally agree and they move their body, it wires into their body. Now, this is human behavior. So the more they agree, the more they say something, the more the commitment, they feel it in their body and it wires into them. Now, from Tony Robbins, 80% of influence is physiology and psychology. It's how they feel about it that changes their mind. 20% is facts. So we have 5 steps. 4 of them are emotional, 1 of them is factual. First one, I have a full spine problem. We have to establish common rapport, make sure we're talking about the same thing. And as I go through these steps, I'm going to show you what objections they eliminate. Second question is I don't want to be like this anymore. So when you want to make a life change, your shoulds become musts. And that's where most people are frustrated. They should do things, but they didn't make it a must. When a patient, how many times has a patient said, Doc, I should do this. Doc, it makes sense. Because what happened is they didn't say, have a defining decision that I don't want to be like this anymore. And I'm going to show you what that means. The third is eliminate other options. So when we look at what is this like emotionally, first, we got to get common rapport. So that's like on a baseball game, use a baseball metaphor. I have a full spine problem. What's that mean? Everybody knows you got your foot on first base, right? Your goal is to get to home. That's a committed lifetime patient. When you say, I don't want to be like this anymore, that's when that baseball runner makes a decision. I am definitely leaving first base. I'm going to steal second, right? So they get halfway out, they're committed and they're going to go. The third, eliminate other options. So when a person now says, I'm going into motion, I'm going to take empowered action, we have to direct their direction. So that way, if a person, they go right from first base to second base, they don't shoot off into right field. So we have to eliminate other options. How many times people say, Doc, let me get a second opinion. Doc, can I go to the gym? Maybe I can stand up straight. All these things that are so ridiculous that you don't even want to deal with them. Let's eliminate all of them. The fourth is they have to know what they want. People don't buy what they need, they buy what they want. If people bought what they needed, there wouldn't be anything more than a Volkswagen running around. You certainly wouldn't be ripping around. In fact, confession, when I stayed at your house, we were flying down the freeway at 160 so smoothly, right? That wasn't what we needed. That's what we wanted.
We wanted it.
Yep, people got to know what they want. Where there's no vision, people perish. And then finally, prove the correction. That's step 5. Now I want to go through this. And Dr. Chris, just interrupt me at any point here.
No, I love the want thing. That is so important. Like I even realized that, I have a huge Starbucks line. My office is next to a Starbucks, and every morning I see the drive-through goes out into the street. I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? These people could have made Starbucks coffee at home. They literally could buy the same coffee and make it at home. Taste the same, convenient. But they woke up early to wait in line 20 to 30 minutes to pay for this stuff. And it's like, this is the same person that says they don't have the time or the money to do anything for themselves. And I'm trying to really figure out the psychology behind, well, what would make someone irrationally stand in a Starbucks line? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like Dr. Fred said, the only reason is because they wanted to. That's all. Like the only justification is they wanted to. So that's how on the want is. They have to want to. Like, people, everything they do, everything we do, our life, whether you like things of your life or not, the things you don't like in your life, you wanted to, and the things you like in your life, you wanted. So we're a direct result of what we wanted in life, and that's why I just love that concept that when they say they don't want to be like this anymore, it's it's a necessary step. You can't move forward without that.
Yep, that's true. Now, here's another concept I'd like you guys to get, and then I'm going to get started on these steps. And that is, people quit not by what they said, but by what they didn't say. So when they don't say these statements, that's why they quit, and I'm going to show you why. And I'm going to show you why Elite always preaches we have a no variable system. What's that mean? Same thing with you, Dr. Chris. You eliminate so many objections in advance that there's only one way they can go. And if we can do that, then maybe we can have a lineup in your clinic in the morning. You know, maybe they get their coffee and then go to your clinic, or vice versa. We don't care, but they should be lined up in our clinic first. So I have a full spine problem. Where do we start? First of all, you have to know these 5 steps so well that you don't have to think about them. So in Elite, we start with the 3.5-minute pre-consult. What the pre-consult does, gets them from pain into posture. What's that mean? I'm going to pull out a couple one-liners. We say, first of all, we say when either a bone or a whole region of the spine slips out of place, right? It's called a subluxation. When one region moves out of place, then it weakens and distorts the rest of the structure of the spine. So when you know about spinal correction, you know, hey, we know a forward head posture can cause back pain, right? If we got a left thoracic translation, the neck better move right. Otherwise, you got a big problem. So one of the reasons they have to say, I have a full spine problem, when people say, Doc, can you crack my back? What didn't they say? I have a full spine problem, because they're still looking at segment. They're still looking at one region in a pain area. So first we say when one region shifts, then it weakens the rest of the structure of your spine, which weakens your posture. Can you see that? And so what we do is in 3.5 minutes, we get about a dozen agreements. And with each agreement, we're taking them along a thought process. Then they agree. After that, what are we leading to? Can you see how your posture affects your overall health? So immediately, even if they have back pain, we immediately get them focused on full spine and then overall health. We also get them to agree that the organs are being affected, because we're setting them up for the consultation, which is focused on organs. Now, when you deliver this 3.5 multiple agreement conversation, what kind of conversation was that?
Multiple agreements.
Exactly. Commitment and consistency. Thank you for being our cooperative audience.
Did Heather get that?
Yeah, I think she did.
Yeah,
Did you get that?
Good.
So now here's what you're looking for. You're going to get an unsolicited statement, which is, I didn't realize my spine affected my overall health. Now you're looking for that 30 to 40% of the time. You got 40% of your patients in 3 minutes that come in with back pain saying, I didn't realize my spine affected my health. That's a good thing, right? So right there, if you don't get it unsolicited, then solicit it. So right there, I would say, so can you see how the problem in your back really could be from your whole spine being weak? And right there, they say yes. Now, here's the thing. If you understand, everything you say is conditioning a mindset. So everything you say now is leading to a future decision with that patient. Would you want to be more specific about what you said right now?
Yes.
Definitely. So once you get into the, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for being my audience. So then once we get those agreements, we go into the consultation. Now we're going to focus on the organs. So let's say they have low back pain. Obviously, these nerves have strength and energy down the legs. You're talking about numbness, talking about digestive problems. Now, people, what you're going to see is when you go through the whole spine, someone comes in with back pain. But what's the probability they have other areas of their spine that hurt? When you're talking about that's easy. If they have mid-back pain or neck pain as well, then they already know their whole spine is weak. But let's say maybe they had allergies as a kid. Well, it could be your spine never developed normally from childhood. It doesn't matter if they feel pain in that area because they have organ problems that are related. So you're putting together this puzzle piece, this puzzle with all these pieces. And so we have a 4-step consultation. By the time you're going through all these organ problems, you're also looking to how they feel about it. So So when you're up in the neck and you're talking about metabolism, you ask, how's your energy levels? Oh man, I'm tired all the time. Immediately, what are you looking for? The emotion. You know what, Miss Jones, you look like you're overwhelmed. Oh, I'm completely overwhelmed. Right there, I'd say, are you tired of being like this? Are you tired of being sick and tired? So right there, I'm leading them to the second phase. I don't want to be like this anymore. Right? So what you're dealing with is not, hey, how is back pain affecting your life? Well, I can't pick up my kids. Great, 2 adjustments. I can pick up my kids again. Thanks, doc. You're amazing. I'll come back when my back hurts. Instead, you're looking at a much bigger picture. Now, when we get to the third step of the consultation, that's an overall impression. That's where we give a full spine overall impression. So that's where, okay, the average person will say, you can easily in this consultation, 15 to 18 different organ problems, easily. So right there, you say, wow, Ms. Jones, you may have come in with low back pain, but it looks like your whole spine is weak. You have 18 different health problems. Would you agree that your whole spine has been injured over time? Now, right there, they say yes. Now we got them into bigger perspective. Now we know, okay, I got a full spine agreement. Now they have to say, I don't want to be like this anymore. So what would you say? Well, at this point, you'd say something like, are you tired of the foundation of the health and energy in your body being injured and weak and running your life down? Are you tired of being that way? So if they don't say it, then you solicit it. But once you go through it, they're going to say it anyway. Most people will say, I don't want to be like this anymore. Now, once they say that, that's responsibility that initiates emotional action. Now, if you have to solicit it, let's say that you say, are you tired of being like this? And they say, definitely. Here's 3 letters, 1 word, the most powerful coaching question ever. You say, why do you feel that way? Now they're going to give you their reason. Because I feel like I'm aging faster. I'm not the mom I want to be. Whatever that reason is their emotion of why they're going to be in your program and why they're going to change your life. I know that you guys go through this, Chris, and you've gone through, you go through these organs and these consultations.
Right. And, you know, and the part, you know, when the reason why you got to make sure, Dr. Fred, that he said the key word was feel, you know, not what do you think about this? How do you feel about that? It's 2 times, because I know a lot of docs say, well, so how's that, you know, what do you think? You know, how does it make you feel? Because a feeling, that's the whole part. I mean, because like you said, it's just like Dr. Fred always says, you know, spirit feels, and that's really the only true emotion. The 5 senses are great. What they think educationally is great, but how they feel, that's always the truth. And the perfect example is how many of you guys, you said, man, I rocked my report of findings. Everything went great. They answered all the questions. They nodded their head. They said everything perfectly. They say, yes, I'm going to correct it. And then just something went wrong because it was here. They logically know that a bone on a nerve shuts off life, but how do they feel about it? How's it affecting their life? So the feeling, you have to get to that point because that's when you're talking directly to their spirit.
Exactly. And to their emotion. Exactly. We're emotional beings. So right there, we've already said, we've already got them to say full spine problem in the pre-consult. We've got them to say full spine in the consult. We've gotten them to say, I don't want to be like this anymore in the consult. Now notice at every step on day 1, they're saying full spine and I don't want to be like this. So now let's say you have a person, what's another objection? Somebody's been to every doctor, nobody's helped them. What do we want to do? I can help you, I can help you, I can help you. But the problem is they don't trust you yet. Mm-hmm. Right, because everybody said the same thing. So when we look at what's the third step, eliminate other options. So we have full spine, I don't want to be like this anymore, eliminate other options. So right in the consultation, when you know they've been to multiple doctors, then when this starts to make sense, then right there I'd say, are you tired of going to doctors that can't help you? You've tried everything in medicine. Are you done going to medical doctors, getting answers that haven't gotten you better? It's been 10 years. Are you done doing that? You know, so when they say, I'm tired of being like this, and they have that history, they have to say they're not going back to everything they've done before. Because how many times has a person with back pain say, you know, I think I'll try physical therapy again? Why? Because they didn't say, I'm not going back to what I've done before. And this is part of eliminate options. So when we get in the exam, you do a postural exam. You show them the thoracic translations, all these shifts, right? So what you're doing is you're showing they have a full spine problem. So what you would ask them after you go through all the posture evaluation, you'd say, which part of your spine is weak? And you touch their occiput, you run your hand right down to their sacrum, and you give them the answer in their body. Now, the way the nervous system works, the way the brain works, the brain's function is mostly proprioception. So we have to create an experience, not give them information. We have to create an experience. You create an experience by the way you touch them, not just by the way you talk to them. So you'd say, which part of your spine is weak? You'd run your hand down their whole spine. Right there again, you know, since your whole spine is weak, are you tired of your health breaking down? Yes. Why? Now, if they answered why in the consultation, use it right there. Which part of your spine is weak? My whole spine. And say, a minute ago, you said you're tired of being like this because you don't feel like a good mom, because your body's breaking down, because you feel 20 years older than you are. Here's why, and you show them their posture. Here's why you feel this way. Does that make sense to you? Has anybody told you this before? Do you think you've been to 10 different doctors and nobody's given you this answer? Do you believe that's why you're still suffering? See, now what I'm doing is I'm eliminating other options at the same time. So right there, in a matter of a few questions, they said, I have a full spine problem. You've confirmed I don't want to be like this anymore with an emotional reason why. And you confirmed eliminating other options. You're only 10 to 15 minutes tops into day one, and look at those emotional decisions they've made. Any comment on that, Chris? Because you always handle all this stuff in advance too.
And one thing, you know, I want to really be dead on with the wording, because what I want to do is, Dr. Fred says this in his sleep, and he's taught it so much. Remember, he says, so do you believe this is that cause of problem? Not do you think this is? It's like, do you believe? That's very powerful, because for someone to say I believe, that is truly them saying yes, like I believe, because they have to come to the belief, because if they don't believe it, they're not going to trust you, they're going to be skeptical, or they're just going to do their research, so to speak. So the belief part, like when that person could say, I believe this is the reason why my life is suffering, then I don't want to say I got them, but they're there, you know. That's where,
that is such a good point, which shows the level of your consciousness, because one word made such a big impact with you. So number one, I want to give you accolades on that. And that's true. When a person says, I believe, the commitment level is so much greater. It literally wires into their body.
Because Dr. Fred, because the only reason when I address it, I know a lot of if elite clients are on right now, remember that, when you do these things, sometimes we don't, that's why I really love, and I really would suggest that all of you, when you start doing this, to tape record yourself. Just record your iPhone. All my docs record the rooms. Put the iPhone in your pocket, record it, because you're going to come out saying, I don't want you to do this. I did what Dr. Fred taught me, and it just doesn't work for me. And you're going to think you nailed it. You're going to think you said it perfectly, but wait until you listen to yourself, and you're going to have a lot of uncertain phrases coming out. So do you think this maybe cause it? Yeah, it could. And then you move on versus you believe. So I think this, because we all do that. This is why I still tape record myself, because I think, wow, how come I got a different result? And when I listen to the recording, number one, I'm like, oh, that's why. And two, you can't really do it in day one. But when I do a talk, I want to see my body language and vocals. So sometimes my body language is off, and I'm giving another message to them versus what I'm saying. So I would definitely highly recommend you record it. And when you realize, oh, okay, this was an uncertain, it was an unbinary question I asked them. It was very open-ended, and it could be, it may, versus must believe. I know I don't want to be like this anymore. Like, these are very definitive. And like Dr. Fred taught me, it's a ladder. So I don't move forward until, oh, they got it, good. Now I can move up the ladder. But a lot of times we want to get to the top of the ladder and we'll let a couple mediocre answers slide to get there, and we lost them. You're in control of this. Remember, it's an application process. But the thing is, when you take them through this journey, these steps, you're really helping them. You're walking them through the door to basically the salvation of their problems and the future of their life. So it's okay to make sure you're right there and be super conscious about that as well.
Yeah, and that's a great point too with body language. One of the things we teach in the boot camps is so many times people are talking patients out of care by the way they're moving. And uncertain language, man, is devastating for commitment. It's got to be complete conviction and certainty, and you are the epitome of that, certainly. So anyway, hey, all we've done now is the exam. So, I mean, look at all these agreements you've got in the emotional process you've taken them through, and we're just still on day one. Now, one thing we talk about in Elite is when you summarize, then you say you have 5 subluxations, 6 postural distortions, 18 different health problems. We need to see I know where they are because you've done the exam. Now I need to know why they're there and if I can help you. So we need to take x-rays. So that's it. So if you look at that all-encompassing view, when you're saying 5 subluxations, you're touching the areas of the spine that you've dug on them. So you're really touching them from the occiput to the sacrum. They're getting a full spine impression. So right there, you can even say, if you're not sure, you think they're on the fence or they won't get off their back pain, 5 subluxations, 6 postural distortions, 15 different health problems. You can put your hand from the occiput in their spine. What part of your spine do you think that's weakened and injured? And they'll say, my whole spine. You can get them right there again. Now that's twice in the exam. So they've already said full spine problem 4 times, 4 times, and you're only 15 minutes, 20 minutes into that. So when you look at that condensed time with repetition and conditioning, the probability they're going to say, just fix my back, is so small. So now when you take their x-rays, of course, you invite the spouse and all that. When you come back on day 2, we still know. Now the spouse has to say I have a full spine problem. The spouse has to say I don't want to be like this anymore. The spouse is going to hear the patient say it, and they're going to hear us eliminate other options. So naturally we go through x-rays. So as you're going through multiple areas of the spine, what's the obvious first question? What part of your spine do you think is weak and injured, breaking down your health? Once again, I would run my hand from the occiput to the sacrum, not only on the patient, but on the spouse. I'd say, which part of her spine do you think is weak? What part? And then I'd say, what part of her overall health is weakening? And I would draw a big circle in front of their body. So immediately you're giving them the answer with their body. They say all of her health. Then I'd ask the spouse, because then I would give that emotional commitment from the patient, meaning, Ms. Jones, do you tell your husband that you're worried about how you are as a mother, that you're concerned about your health and taking care of your kids? So in real life, how many times do spouses not talk to each other about these things? Because their life is task-driven, take care of the kids. They're so busy being mom and dad that sometimes they forget about being husband and wife. And so when they hear it from their spouse, and they say, I would say, tell your husband, because he's not going to believe me, he's going to believe her. Right? So right there, honey, I'm really, I've been worried. I haven't talked to you about that. But, I'm worried about my health, my ability to take care of the family. And then I'd say, Mr. Jones, when you hear that, how do you feel like that? What will he say? I want to fix her. Right? Because dudes want solutions. But I didn't ask you that question. How do you feel when you hear that? I'm devastated. I'm worried. Right there, I'd say, are you tired of her feeling like that? Is that enough? He's got to say it. He's already said the whole spine is weak, but he's got to say that's enough. We're making a change right now. Doesn't mean you're going to believe him because they haven't heard what it takes, but at least you got him to that point. I know now you eliminate other options. What if they've been to other chiropractors? What if they've been to other doctors? Can you see with this evaluation how this is different from anything they've done before? So right there, different. People will pay Gallup did a study, they'll pay 400% more. They'll pay 4 times more for something different. So what you have to do is get that person to say, this is different. When they say it, they believe it. Is this different than anything they've been before? Yes. What do you think is different about it? Well, nobody's ever talked to us about this. Do you believe, there you go, do you believe that if she corrects us, she can regain her health, feel like a good mom, and get the life and wife, right, that she really wants to be? Now, when they say yes to that, that's a huge commitment. Doesn't mean they're going to commit, but they've taken a huge step forward in making an emotional decision, which is a powerful question. You brought up, do you believe this is the program that will help you recover your health and gain the life that you want? So I know that you ask questions like that.
Well, you have to. And a couple other things going through this. Number one, Dr. Fred said that when they answer it, it's coming from them. And therefore, if they answered it, they believe that, right? It's coming from them. I see too many times, because a lot of docs, we don't like we don't like pauses. So when you ask the question, you pause and they have to answer. And too many times docs answer for them. So, do you believe this? Do you see how this is different, right? Yeah, it's different. And you move on because maybe the pause was too long. If it takes 5 seconds, you have to let them come out with the answer. So if you have to sit there and, like Dr. Fred said, stare in their right eye and have them come out, right? Have them come out with the answer, because a lot of times, a lot of you guys, you fill in the blanks for them. And another thing, Dr. Fred, remember, you're bringing them up the gradient, and then when you fill in the blanks for them, they go back down, right? So because they're like, well, that's what you said. No, this is not about what we said. They have to come to the answer. So it's okay to pause and have them think about it. Sometimes husband will look at wife, she'll look at that. All this happens because they're coming to awareness. Number one. Number two, if this is the wife that's come in, there's the husband and the spouse, and you're just another one of the 12 freaking doctors that has just taken money and their wife's still miserable. So to get the husband to see how you are different and that he believes is true, because he's hurt from seeing his wife being hurt because all other systems have failed up to this point. So it's very important that you don't get intimidated by the husband, because he might come in and he's fired up because you're just another person who's going to give him false hope. But be empathetic and saying, like Dr. Fred used to, do you see that? Hey, well, he knows where to go, where it'd be like, if you sense that, be like, hey, is this something where, are you tired of, is this just another doctor that you feel that your wife's been to that's going to fail her like all the others did? And, just to get them to say, yeah, and just to let them open up and show their expression, their emotion, because you want him on your side. But it's so important you're asking those questions. And don't blow by him, because once he gets on your side, then again, because it's the end commitment that we're going for, and all these things, having them come up with that answer, because if they don't, they're going to say, well, you told me, or they're not, they have to take their own word for it.
Well, here's the deal. What your guys are really learning is this is a self-empowerment technique. To me, chiropractic, when someone comes in, doc, crack my back, and we want to change the way they live their life, we're really self-empowerment leaders, but nobody ever professionally taught us any self-empowerment techniques. What we did was we talked about the principle, we look at their x-rays, and then we use hope as a strategy to hope they get it like we did. But how many years did it take you guys to be convicted? My conviction didn't happen in 5 minutes. That's for sure. So we give a 15-minute report of findings or whatever, and then we expect people to get it like we do, but it doesn't work like that. And so the bottom line principle is you can't do the work for them. They have to do the work. You're not going to teach your kid how to make a bed by you making their bed every day, right? So it's the same thing. And that's, I think, another way of saying what you're saying, Chris. You have to wait for that answer, because if they don't do the work, they're not going to be able to take responsibility to be able to take action. So the most powerful communication tool is silence. right? That's what you were talking about. It's looking them straight in the eye until they answer. And if they don't want to answer, then ask them the same question again. And if they don't answer that question, or they give a different answer because they don't want to take responsibility, then say, well, you know, that's great, but that's not the question I asked you. You got to keep coming back, because if they don't do the work, they already left and you don't know it. Well, you'll know it in about 10 minutes when they walk out and say, I want to think about it.
And Dr. Fred, another thing you talk about is sometimes as you go into the report of findings, you'll actually say a statement, the doctor will say a statement that could have been a question. And
Right.
so it's okay if you catch it, saying, you know, that's getting worse, is, you know, so that's shutting off life to the thyroid and making it worse, isn't it? Or making it worse. And then if you catch yourself, you could be like, so what do you think that's doing to your metabolism and your organs? You know, just like, so it's okay. Sometimes we want to do the work for them, because I know in the ROF, you're in a mode of service and passion, and you want to save their lives, and you want to put them over your shoulder and take them to the finish line. So if you see yourself say a statement that you're like, crap, that should have been a question, like Dr. Fred, just reframe it right after that, ask it again.
Exactly. So then we get to, now you're past day 2. Now we have a 3-day system. We bring them to a workshop. We actually have built into the workshop these 5 steps. And so when you get to eliminate other options, we show basically what the expense of medical care, how it's not going to correct them, all that stuff. But now there's research studies. I'm going to tell you about it, how we're going to create a product on these 5 steps so you can certainly master it. And there's studies. One is, I think it's a Journal of Occupational Health. I have to check that, April 2011, that says people with chronic back pain that do any exercise, like go to physical therapy, have a higher probability of being on disability than if they didn't do anything at all. Deed Harrison did a study. People with chronic low back pain that do exercise have an 8 times greater chance of having more chronic back pain. Any kid with back pain grows into an adult with chronic back pain. I just came back from the CBP week-long. He has a new study that came out, medical study, that show a person with a hypolordosis that does exercise has a higher probability that they're going to move not only into chronic pain, but have recurrent incidents of pain. So basically what you're doing is you're eliminating all exercise. You just eliminated PT. I mean, most people don't or know that opiates are problems. They don't want to be on drugs. You eliminated going to the gym. So here's where basically you're eliminated massage, you've eliminated yoga, you've eliminated Pilates, all these things where people think, well, I'll just go to my yoga class. So number 1, you eliminate the emotional objections as you're going through day 1, day 2. Then when you get to the workshop, you can actually show research studies. Now, I'm going to tell you about this product we're going to make, and I'm going to look up these I'm going to do some research on the references so you guys can cite them if you like. And we're going to do it in a PDF. So before you give them their program or do the financial, you have to eliminate all those objections that you're just tired of listening to. I'm going to get a second opinion. You know, I just named them all. When you eliminate anything related to exercise other than structural corrective exercises, then what you've done is you've narrowed their options down to one thing. That means when they said, my whole spine is weak, I don't want to be this way, their shoulds turn into a must, I want to change my life. And here's another great question when people say, Doc, I want to fix it. This is a great question. Write this one down. You say, why is now finally the time that you're ready to make a change? Why is when?
Now.
Now, exactly. Why is now? That is a phenomenal question, because what they're going to do is they're going to think about it and justify in their old mind, right? People buy with emotion and justify with fact. Now they feel themselves going through this emotional process, and sometimes that makes people nervous because maybe they bought with emotion, maybe they made a bad decision. So you have to give them facts so they can justify why that's right to themselves. So when you say, why is now the time? They may give you an emotional reason. They may give you a factual reason. So this is what you're looking for. So this is why you eliminate emotional options and you use facts to eliminate options, because it's a justification of why this is their only choice if they want to change their life. So first you take a should into a must, and then you show facts of why this is why they believe it's their only option. You could say, do you believe that this is really the only option? You can even ask that question. When they say yes to that, oh my God, man, that's huge. So we do that in a workshop. Now we're going to go to step 4. Any comments on that, Chris? Or
No, that's right there. I love it.
yeah.
So yeah, all the way up to now. So you've seen like everything you've been doing. We're just it's these fine little details that make a huge difference because it's coming from a way more certain place. And like Dr. Fred said, they're doing the work and they're coming to the realization. They're justifying it because it all comes down to what they want. So when they justify it, they want it. And it makes your job, all you're doing is you're walking them through the door. Like you're not selling them, you're walking them through the door to freedom. That's exactly what it is. It's like, that's what closing is. And I realized a long time ago that if I can't save them if I don't close them. So this is all part of it. So you could either be a hard salesman that does whatever and has to like persuade them at the end, or you could let the entire process take care of it for you. And I'd rather let the process do it. And so I could just stay in my zone.
Yeah, not only is it way easier, but they actually come willingly. Like with this, they walk towards you rather than you chasing them. I know you guys are tired of chasing them. That's why you're on this webinar. So now we get to, they have to know what they want. Where there's no vision, people perish. They have to have such a clear vision. So I'm just going to use a quick example. If you wanted to buy a car, let's say you wanted to buy a black minivan or, whatever, SUV. Hey, I want to buy a white Range Rover. So, I want white Range Rover, I want these rims, I want these tires, I want this interior. I know where the Range Rover dealer is. I've already seen it on the lot. Now I'm going to go negotiate price. So when you go on there, you know what you want. So if you say, I'm looking at a Range Rover, I'm looking at a Jaguar, I'm looking at a Mercedes, I'm not sure I want to test drive them, and you go, the first lot you go to is Mercedes, you're not going to buy that Mercedes because you still want to drive a Range Rover and Jaguar. So you're going to go, well, let me think about it. You'll negotiate, but you haven't committed. So people have to know exactly what they want. Now, how we apply this are to have them write 20 to 30-year health and life goals. Now, what they're going to write, they'll write, I'm just going to throw a couple things out, right? I want to run marathons till I'm 80. Well, what's that mean? So what you say is, why is that important to you? So we're not going to talk about the goals. We're going to talk about who that person is. Okay, so if you say, why is that important to you? Now, a person will say, well, because my dad died of a heart attack and I have heart disease in my family. Well, that's pretty important, so that's obvious. Well, that's obvious. You want to live a long, healthy life, but there's probably more than that. What's even more important than that? And they may say, I want to stop heart disease in the generations of my family. I want to represent that healthy person that stopped that disease in my family. So what I'd say is, so you want to create a legacy. So for all the future generations of your family don't have to live in fear. That's a life purpose. So when you look at their goals, what you're really going to get, you ask that 3-letter, 1-word, why. You say, why is that important to you? And you're going to get to their purpose. Now in NLP, and this is from Business Mastery, when you find a person's deepest desire, meaning their life purpose, and you associate it with your program, they're not buying your program. Part of the reason people say no is you give them recommendations and they decide whether or not they like them. But they know they're committed to their life purpose. So when your program helps them reach that life purpose, they're not buying your program, they're buying their life. And this is the life coaching NLP vehicle that we use to find their deepest, most important desire, and that's what they're buying. That's why they come up with money. You look at people say, well, people don't have money in my area. First question I ask is, does their kid have braces? Because that just cost them $5,000. They didn't think twice about 2 kids in their family having braces. So people find, I also live in Orange County. We fly in Southwest. Oh my God, families of 4 and 5 get on there. I just paid $500 for my ticket. They're $2,000 in. They haven't even walked through the doors of Disneyland yet. So people buy what they want. You have to know what they want. Dr. Chris, you use this tool, and I know you get this principle.
Oh yeah. I always want to get to their purpose. And then this is probably for another call, but when you look at their life goals and stuff they put down, I talk to their goals. I talk to the future, because they need to believe that the issue that they're having is not compatible with their goals in their future. And that's what they want, especially if they're committed to it. So, their chief complaint to me isn't a back pain or a headache. Their chief complaint to me is, I can't be a mother. I can't play with my grandkids. I can't, I don't know if I'll be there, have the energy I need later on. So I'm speaking to all the things that are really deep rooted into them. That to me is their chief complaint. And so when they see and believe and know that it is the answer for them, why wouldn't they? Because it's their whole future they want. And then they see, remember guys, then they see that this is the narrow path to their future. It becomes binary. It's black or white at that point.
Yeah, it is. And the next thing is has long-term focus. Now the problem, and this is what a lot of management groups teach, is they teach, well, find the emotional hook on back pain. The problem is that's short-term. Mm-hmm. That's not a life. That's a condition. Pain only ignites change. It initiates change, but pleasure makes permanent change. That's how Tony Robbins gets people across fire. He doesn't say, by the way, let's go over the 10 reasons why you suck. And then, by the way, walk across these 2,000-degree coals. He would need a really good attorney, and he probably wouldn't be doing it. But he conditions you on so much pleasure that you blast across those coals like you're walking across your lawn front yard on a spring morning. So pleasure makes change permanent. We want to change the way people live. We have to use pleasure. That's related to life purpose. So you have them write their goals, and you ask, why is this important to you? You find those purposes in those goals. Now we show you how to do that really quickly. Once they do that, then now you've had 4 emotional steps. Now we prove the correction. Now there's several ways to prove a correction, and I'm going to show you what works best. You can prove a correction with testimonials. People have pre and post x-rays up in their workshop. Those are good, and it builds confidence, but the problem is it's not them. So they can say, how many times per say, well, it may have worked for them, but is it going to work for me? I mean, I'm sure people on this webinar have said that about certain things. And so this is where, if you're doing spinal correction, laying them on a dental roll on a little workout bench in front of an x-ray, because now the correction is them. So after you've taken them through, I have a full spine problem, all the way through day 1, day 2, all the way through the workshop. I don't want to be like this anymore. All the way through day 1, day 2, through the workshop. Eliminate other options. All the way through day 1, day 2, through the workshop. Now they know what they want. You find out what their life purpose is. All you have to do now is just prove it. So we show them that corrected x-ray. Now when you show it to them, here's a really important question. Then you say, when you see that, Mr. Jones, and you see that your whole life can turn around, not that your spine can be corrected, we can go from, negative 10 degrees to 30 degrees, that's not it, right? And by the way, with the dental roll, Dean Harrison has done 5 studies. In 5 studies with a cervical dental roll, you get an average of 13-degree correction in a cervical spine in 30 visits. So when they lay on it 30 times, you get an average of 13-degree corrections. 5 studies showed the same result. So that's pretty predictable. So you show them, and then you say, what does that mean to you? How do you feel when you see that? Now they're going to give you hope. They're going to give you their highest pleasure. What does that mean to you as far as that life purpose to creating a legacy for generations? That means I can actually do this. They just lost the right to object. So if you follow this path, then it leads them right into, it's like funneling a herd one at a time through this gate. There's only one way to go. It's like a funnel. they can all come in, but they're going to go one way. And that's really it. I know you've done corrective x-rays, the correction potential, and many times it is the difference.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So if you guys can do a laying down dental roll, absolutely do that. Before I learned this in my office, I just didn't have this where with the tube of the x-rays, we couldn't do it. So we had to use head weights, but I needed some type of rehab to show that. So I do the head weights, but I mean, I would always absolutely do a dental roll if I could, but I just can't the way my x-ray unit is done. But yes, we definitely show them, a couple things. The dental roll could show, this could be a little bit more advanced, it could show ligament stability. Remember, as you put someone on there and you see a slip like that. So you leverage it each way. You show them the correction. And what I do is when I leverage and I do see like crazy ligament stability, then I leverage the heck out of that. I'm like, this shows you right now that acutely, just standing in all you have to do is stand in a gravity and you're collapsing rapidly every single day. And so so I might throw an urgency that way. But the dental roll is a great one. The head weights are good too, but dental roll first always.
Yeah, dental rolls help 60 to 70% of your patients.
Yeah.
So really, this is what we're going to do. Now, what I've done tonight is just give you a preview. And I know a lot of elite people, you've been to the boot camps, you've learned this. But what I find on coaching calls, even the elite people, to get really into detail to make this a system, it takes time and practice and training on this specifically. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a 6-video product with a PDF. And the first video is going to be all communication principles. And then we're going to spend time on each video, on each step that's going to go into far more detail than what we went into here. In fact, it will be so detailed that if you just follow this step-by-step system, I guarantee that it's going to make a difference. Also, as you're going through this, then you can call me anytime with questions. And the reason we're doing this is we want to create excellence. Not only do we want to get more doctors in spinal correction, but we want to change the impression of chiropractic in the general public. So this video product, we're beginning filming it. It's going to be done in about 4 to 6 weeks. When it's done, it's going to sell for $4.95. What we're doing is in the next 24 hours, you click, we're going to send you a link. Get this tonight. It's $345. When you buy it in advance, it's $345. Now, I will tell you, and I know Chris will tell you, that $345 will get you at least 6 figures by the end of the year. You just master this system. It's not about the money, but at least $100,000 is a whole lot of corrected spines. And so this is in 6 weeks, it's going to be $495. Tonight, it's going to be $345. You got to do it tonight, at least in the next 24 hours. It's going to go up to $395 tomorrow. And then if you pre-buy it, it'll be $395. But the minute it comes out, it's going to be $495. Any comments on recommendations, opinions?
Yeah, do it. And don't be a cheap ass. Do it.
Yeah.
It's so simple. I could sit there and you know what? I love it, but not the elite clients, because they see money as potential, which is beautiful, because all it is like income to me is potential that I could pour back into my family, pour back into myself, pour back into my patients. So elite clients don't have an issue with that. So I have nothing to comment.
Yeah, well, the whole reason we're doing this is we just want you to be great. As you guys know, what we just went through, it doesn't exist in chiropractic. And although there's so many great leaders that can help you, nobody's gone the distance to do as much study on human behavior and apply that to corrective care. I mean, you guys can see this is different. We don't need to say anymore. Really, the question is within yourself. You master these 5 steps, and it will impact your purpose. It will grow your practice. It'll create more committed patients than ever before. And if you have any questions, just call me when you get this product, because I want to help you be great. I know, Dr. Chris, you're moving beyond practice. So, and I've moved on beyond practice. There's nothing greater to know that you've fulfilled that card, so to speak.
Yep, it's checked.
It's checked. And there's no greater feeling, and that's what this is about, to have the confidence to know that you actually fulfill your purpose, because there's also something greater that's waiting. So click on the link. What's that?
There always is. It just gets better and better for those who seek it, you know?
Yeah. So this was just a brief glimpse. Thank you, Dr. Chris, for being on here. We will send you this link. You're going to be getting that. You guys have the link already. Just click on it, get it. Call me if you have any questions. It'll be out in 4 to 6 weeks, and then just master this. So thanks, Dr. Chris, for being on.
Thank you, Dr. Fred. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys.
All right, you guys. Peace. Thank you.